Be quiet, Henry. Henry is very proud to work on the Fat Controller's railway. He likes to be really useful wherever he goes. His favourite job is to work in the forest. Henry doesn't mind working with trucks, but can often make too much noise. One morning Henry was at Timber's sheds with his friends. Hero was there telling his stories. All the engines enjoyed his stories. Hero was visiting the railway for a while, and he was having a fun time with the Fat Controller's engines. Then the Fat Controller arrived to give out the jobs.
I hope you're enjoying yourself, Hero,
he smiled.
but now it's time to go to work.
Of course, sir. I understand, sir, he said. Have you a job for me, sir? The Fat Controller smiled.
Well, Hero,
He thought.
would you like to take the school children to the library?
Hero was delighted. He hadn't taken children for a very long time. Oh yes, sir. Thank you, sir. He whistled.
You'll need Emily to show you the way, said the Fat Controller. You don't know the tracks to the library. She's going to deliver new books for the children to read.
Yes, sir, agreed Hero. I'll go and dig on water right away. And Hero popped out of Timber's sheds.
I'll catch up with you later,
called Emily.
Henry, you are to pull the express today,
The Fat Controller went on.
Gordon is away working at the wharf.
Henry was pleased to hear this.
Neville, you are to take trucks of wood to repair the roof at the vicarage orchard. Stanley,
The Fat Controller finished.
you can give Bill and Ben some help at the quarry while Boko is away being mended.
Neville and Stanley were pleased with their jobs.
Now please make sure you are quiet when you pass the library,
The Fat Controller cautioned.
we don't want to upset the children's reading.
And he left. But Neville was puzzled.
Would all the children be inside though, sir?
He asked.
Not all of them.
Smiled Stanley.
Some of them like to read outside. You can get fresh air at the same time.
Neville felt a little silly for not remembering that, but Henry scoffed at the thought. The place to read is in a building, he said. I'm glad I don't have to be quiet. Emily thought Henry was full of too much puff.
Being quiet is important.
She huffed.
If we race past the school too fast, we can upset them and they may have to start their story again.
Pah! Laughed Henry. You'd never catch me looking silly in front of children. Engines like me never cause trouble with children. Then as Henry puffed away, Neville called out to him.
Remember what the Fat Controller said though?
He called, but Henry just sniggered as he puffed away.
He'll be in trouble if he's not careful,
Sighed Stanley.
I'd better warn the library.
Thought Emily, as she set off to find Hero. Henry backed down onto the express train to collect his passengers. He felt very proud as he waited to be coupled up. He was still thinking about what he said at the sheds. I'm not that noisy, he said to himself, and he blew a loud whistle.
It was so loud it made his driver jump and his hat flew off his head and onto the platform.
An elderly passenger kindly picked up the hat and returned it to the driver. Thank you, smiled the driver. Then he walked over to Henry. He was cross. Don't you ever do that again, he said crossly. I could have hurt myself. Sorry, sir, sighed Henry. Then the guard blew his whistle, waved his green flag, the driver climbed on board and Henry set off out of the station. Henry raced along the line with the coaches rattling along behind him. Come along, he puffed.
Please be careful,
Grumbled the coaches. The coaches didn't like going too fast. They often got frightened of engines that pulled them too fast or too quick. But Henry wasn't paying attention. He just raced on. Then he saw Edward up ahead. He was taking Rusty back to the wharf. Rusty had been to the workstation to be mended. They were both having a lovely time on the tracks. It's so peaceful here, smiled Rusty. You can hear the birds singing, agreed Edward. Suddenly, without warning, Henry roared by with the express. Hello, he whistled happily. Edward and Rusty watched as Henry vanished into the distance. They were cross. What a noisy engine, grunted Rusty. I've never seen such rudeness like that before.
That's what happens when Henry pulls the express, Edward explained. He always likes to prove he's as good as Gordon. He'll be in trouble if he isn't careful, warned Rusty. Edward knew Rusty was right, but wasn't sure how to stop Henry from getting into trouble. Meanwhile, at the library, Emily had delivered the trucks of books. Hero was enjoying watching the children read their stories. He was careful not to make any noise with his steam, and he didn't whistle once. The secretary was keeping an eye on the children. She wanted to make sure they were all right. Then Hero had an idea. "Excuse me," Hero whispered to the secretary. The secretary walked over to Hero. "Maybe if it's all right with you," Hero whispered, "I could tell the children some stories of my own." The secretary smiled.
Thank you for the offer, she said, but I think books are perfectly all right for children today.
"Of course," smiled Hero. "I understand. I shall leave the children in peace." And Hero puffed quietly away, trying not to disturb the children. The secretary waved goodbye to Hero and then went back to work. Emily was pleased that the children were enjoying their reading. Then she remembered Henry.
"We'd better warn them about noises, Henry,"
she said to her driver. "Whatever for?" asked her driver. Emily told her driver what Henry had said. The driver was surprised to hear this. "It seems silly to think that," the driver exclaimed, "but better safe than sorry." Emily watched as her driver walked over to the secretary. She was hoping Henry wouldn't cause any trouble.
"Henry really needs to keep quiet when he puffs by,"
she thought to herself. But at Kirk Ronan Station, Henry was feeling full of puff. He was right on time and felt like nothing could go wrong. "This is the most fun journey I've ever had," he smiled. "I can enjoy a long run back to Knapford." "You had better be careful when passing the library," warned his driver. "We don't want to disturb the children." "Pah," scoffed Henry. "Don't worry about that. The children will be pleased to see me as I go past." "Don't say I didn't warn you," said his driver. "If you make too much noise, then the Fat Controller will be cross." "You just remember to keep quiet as you pass the library," added the fireman. "Quiet?" growled Henry. He didn't like this at all. Then the guard blew his whistle, and Henry set off with a whoosh of steam. Henry raced through the countryside with the wind blowing across his front. "This is how you pull the express," he puffed. Then he saw Murdoch up ahead. He was waiting at a signal. Henry raced past him. "Just look at me, Murdoch," whistled Henry. "Show off," grumbled Murdoch. Soon Henry was nearing the library. He knew the children would be reading their storybooks, but he wanted to say hello to them as he passed by. "I'll get my whistle ready for them," he said to himself. The children were all sitting on the grass. Lady Hatt was sitting with them. She was reading them a story. She was halfway through a story when Henry rounded the corner. Henry could see the children and took the biggest puff he had ever taken. "No, Henry!" shouted his driver, but it was too late. Henry whistled so loudly he made Lady Hatt jump and the book fell to the floor. The station master was cross and waved a red flag. "Whoa, Henry!" called his driver. "We need to stop!" So he applied the brakes and came to a stop. Henry was puzzled, and then he saw Lady Hatt walking up alongside him. She was very cross. "You silly great engine!" she cried. "You made me jump, and now I've lost my place in my storybook. Now I shall have to start from the beginning again." "Now look what you have done, Henry," scolded the driver. "I did try to warn you." Henry felt very silly, and then saw the children looking upset. "Just wait till the Fat Controller hears about this," grumbled Lady Hatt, and she walked away to the station master's office. "Oh dear," thought Henry, "now I have done it." That night the Fat Controller came to Tidmouth Sheds. He was very cross with Henry. "Henry, you are one very noisy engine," he scolded. "I told you to puff quietly as you passed the library, but not only did you upset the children, but my wife couldn't finish her story. Libraries are for reading, and loud whistles are not allowed." Then he spoke sternly to him. "I think," he said slowly, "that you need a lesson in keeping quiet. So I think a week in the nice quiet shed will teach you a thing or two.
He chuckled just as he was finishing his sentence.
You won't hardly hear a thing, and, he added, we won't miss you at all.
Henry gasped when he heard this. He was absolutely speechless. In the sheds, all the engines teased Henry.
I thought you didn't cause children any trouble,
Teased Neville.
It seems children don't approve noisy engines like you.
Stickered Stanley.
Now you know what it's like to be scolded by Lady Hatt.
Laughed Emily.
You should take more care next time.
Maybe some earplugs will stop us listening to Henry's noisy sounds,
Gordon suggested. Henry didn't say a word. He sighed to himself as the engines laughed loud and long. But for the rest of the night, Henry didn't make a sound. That'll teach him not to make loud noises, won't it?